Hi everyone, I'm Trisha. Thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing this beautiful watercolor wreath. I learned how to do this technique from Kendra Krebs, and I'll link her YouTube channel below. But it's very simple and very easy, and it only actually requires 2 stamps. So we're going to be using first this daisy bunch from the flower set, and we're going to be using the vine from the foliage set, and that's it. So let's get started. First thing I do when I'm going to do a project with a wreath like this is I like to cut it down to the size I'm going to use, because I don't want to go outside of it and then have to cut it down, and then it looks funny. So I like to start off with the piece of paper that is actually the size it's going to be when it's finished. So this is actually cut to 3 3/4 by 5 because I'm going to put it on a base and then I'm going to attach it to a card. So one of the first things we need to do is we need to give ourselves a guideline, because I want to keep the shape of this heart. You could do it in a circle and do a wreath, but I like the look of the heart. So I'm actually going to use this heart die that I have, and I'm going to put it right in the center of my page, and I'm going to lightly trace around it with a pencil, just to give me a guideline of how I want this to come to life. Okay, so there's my heart. Second thing we want to do is you want to take a ruler, or you can even just do it freehand. It's not going to be a big deal. I want to put this into 4 quadrants. So I want to cut it in half this way, and then I want to cut it in half this way. So I'm just going to make light pencil lines there, and that should be good. It doesn't have to be perfect or exact. It's just a guideline. So the way we do this technique is we're going to take our foliage. So I'm going to take this vine, and I'm only going to ink up this top part of it. I'm not going to ink up the bottom, because I really just want, and most of the time I'm only going to use this very top, but sometimes I'll use a little bit more than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it in a circle, because what I wanted this to do is I want it to look very random. I don't want it to look like a pattern. So I'm going to stamp the first here, then I'm going to go to the second one, and I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go 3, and I'm going to end up with 4. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it up again, and I'm going to start in the second part. So where I left off the second stamp. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm actually going to stamp, I'm going to ink this back up again, and I'm going to stamp right here in the middle so that I can give the heart, just so I can show where that actual heart's going to come down. Okay? So that looks good. Now I'm just going to ink this up again, and I'm going to start on this side in the 3rd quadrant, and I'm going to continue around and around. Now these are all pointed out. I also want to give a few that are pointed in, so it makes the wreath look very full. So this is where I'm only going to do the very top. Actually, I'm going to do one more round so I get 4 nice impressions. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And you don't have to stamp in exactly the same spots in every part. It's just, you want it to be as random as possible. Okay? So now I'm just going to go back, and I'm going to stamp in here, and I might do 2 in this one. So 1, 2, then I'll ink it up again, and I'll do 1, 2, 1, 2, and I think I'll put, this one needs a little bit of a dark one. And now it's kind of a preference, however you want this to look. This is your wreath. There's no rules here. You can do whatever you want, whatever you think looks good. And just define this little area a little bit more. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do this bottom part really quickly now that I'm looking at it. I kind of want to just define that a little bit too. Okay. what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some flowers in. Now you can put the water in first. You can do it as you go. You can put the water in all these little leaves first, and then put your foliage in. Your flowers in. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to just continue on and just put my flowers in, and then I'm going to actually do the water at the very end. Okay. So I'm going to take my little daisy bunch and ink it up. I'm using the number 49 Vermillion. I just used the number 15 olive green. And I'm just going to put some flowers. Remember, we're going to go in a circle of five impressions. And we're going to try to get a random, just random, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Every time you do this technique, it's going to come out different every time. So have fun with it. You should play with it. It's just paper. It's just paper and ink. I think the more you play with these, the better you get at it. And it's just about practice. Everything's about practice, practice, practice. Okay? So that looks okay. So now I'm going to take the number 55 Iris Purple, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go around to each quadrant, and I'm not going to necessarily put it in the same spot. I just want to make sure I put something in each quadrant here, so it gets a balanced look. Okay, so ink up the stamp. You stamp it 5 times in a circle. Like that. And you can use you can use the whole stamp, or like me, I just sometimes just use like a couple. I'm going to put a couple right there, and then I'm going to put one right here. Maybe right here. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to my 107 Eggplant, and I'm going to put some purple ones. Actually, you know what? Before I put my purple ones in, I'm going to put some more of these greens in. I want to fill this in a little bit more and get a little bit more definition around some of these flowers that I just put in. Now, the only drawback to not putting the water on your flowers and your foliage before you continue is that you might get a little run, the color might run into your flowers a little bit. I tend to stamp over my flowers, so sometimes it's better if I ink and then water right away, so that way if I do stamp over them, it doesn't matter. They're not going to create a muddy color. Like if you're using opposite colors on the color wheel, such as yellow and purple, and you don't ink them and they end up going together, they're going to end up muddied, because yellow and purple make brown, just like green and red make brown. So just keep that in mind. If you're using complementary colors, you probably want to do your water before you stamp some more, so that it keeps the colors separate. And this is just really kind of random. Really random. I'm trying to go in each quadrant, but I'm also trying to go around each little flower here. See how that's coming together? So I'm just going to keep filling in. I want to leave a few spots because I do still have my purple I want to put in here. This technique is so great. It makes such beautiful, I think it makes beautiful wedding cards, especially with the heart, if you use a heart. Because you can do right in the center, you can write, happy wedding or congratulations, and it just makes a really nice focal image for your card. I absolutely love it. I've done a few of them for as wedding cards. So I'm going to do this purple, and I'm going to put it right here. You could even tailor it to, if the person has specific colors for their wedding, you could do the flowers in all of those colors. I think I did a black and white one once just to see how it would come out. And before I move on. I want to put a couple of leaves in here before I put some purple in there. And like I said, this is totally your project. This is your art. So if you want to put something in, or you want to take something out, or you don't want to put something in, you should. And then you can go back and now take a look at it and see how you like it. And if there's, you know, you want to add some more spots, some more foliage inside the heart, you think it's not enough, then you just go right in and just put some more in. Or if you want to put some on the outside, well, that's quite all right. Anything goes. So I think we're almost done. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Sometimes I tend to go a little overboard, so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna put all the water in, and then if I find there's anywhere else that needs some special something more, I'll go in. Yeah, and I say that, and then I just go in and put more in, because that's just me. All right, I'm gonna stop. So let's add the water. I'm actually gonna hit all the greens first, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna hit the flowers. So just be careful you don't have too much water on your brush. And you just want to go in and soften these lines up. Okay, so we're going to hit all of these little lines, sometimes going outside of the lines. And then if you're missing a spot or you're not happy with the spot, you can always go back in with your stamps. Like this here, this little area here, I got a little too much water. I'm not going to touch it right now because with watercolor, if you make a mistake, the worst thing to do is try to go in and fix it right away. You need it to dry completely, and then you can go in and make some change, you know, try to fix it. And I'll show you, we'll try to fix that little area because I'm not really happy with that little blotch. You also don't want to make sure when you're adding the water that you're not going over and making it completely green. You always want to have that white space between these leaves so that you're getting your 3D look. And this really comes out looking like a watercolor painting, which is the goal. Okay. You see the color just starts coming right out when you hit these little lines with the water. Just starts making it so soft and so pretty. It's amazing how these stamps work together to make these great projects. And I'm already seeing some places where I'd like to add a few things, but you know what? Until I get all of my foliage, all of my flowers watered, you never know, because those little spots where you think you might need a little more green, they might fill in really nicely with when you do your flowers, because they have a little more area that they can grow. So I think I'm just going to keep going, and then at the very end we'll see if we want to make any changes. And the best part is you can do this little project. It doesn't take very much time at all. And the more you practice, the more you do, the faster they come to life. Okay, just a little more water here. We're almost around. And it's amazing that just two stamps, and you can make this project. And that's two stamp sets, a foliage and a flower set. And all of those stamps are used in every project. So it's a good investment because you're going to use them over and over and over again in every project that you do. So, okay, so now I have all the leaves done. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do all of the orange flowers first. I'm just touching them here, kind of pulling them into some of this white space. And the water just makes them pop, I think. Okay. So cute, so pretty. Can't buy a card like this. To make a card like this, just can't buy it. Well, you probably could, but it would probably cost you $30. Now the way prices of cards are these days. And God forbid a handmade card, which I think actually, if you go to go to any of the trade shows and stuff, handmade cards are so much cheaper than regular cards. So much nicer. I'm going to move on now to the pink. These colors are my favorites. I love the pinks and oranges and purples. They work so good together. I got a new, so my other two videos I was doing with a Microsoft Life something camera that went right into my computer. I wasn't really liking the sound quality or the picture quality, so my husband let me use his GoPro. So I'm trying out the GoPro to see how these videos are going to come out compared to those first videos that I did. I'm still working on my lighting too. Okay, so that's all my pink flowers. Now we're going to move on and we're going to do the purples. And I'm working on some Arches cold press watercolor paper. So it actually handles the water a lot better than my Canson XL that I have to be really careful not to use too much water. I love this. This is my favorite paper, which I generally use if I'm going to make like a wedding card or something like that. And it has a nice texture to it, which I really love too. So this paper here is the Arches cold press. And if you go to my blog, I'll put a link to all my supplies in the blog. And there we go. That's it. And actually, I don't even think that looks so bad, that middle part there. So that's there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this is really dry. And I'm just going to take my kneaded eraser here, and I'm going to erase these lines so that we don't see them. And the ones that go around we've already filled in, so you won't even notice that they're there. Okay? Now you could put a sentiment in the middle, you could stamp something, you could brush letter something, you could do a die cut in the middle. I thought I had one. I think they all flew away when my husband was working on my desk. Oh, here we go. Like you could put a birthday wishes. I had die cut this. But you can pop that up. You can just put that right in the middle and you have a card right there. So that's about it. For our final thing is just to sign it and put it on a card and give it to somebody and they will love it. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Visit me on my blog. And I also have an Instagram account if you want to see more of my projects. Thanks so much for joining me and have a great day.